Hello, welcome to the Landed Yak. My name is Laurel. Today is a prep and chat video. I'm going to be working on my McGuffey's First Reader Companion Notebook. I'm going to show you where I am in that process if you're just kind of curious. I thought I would just share maybe a little bit of personal. I'm so not into it. I feel like my channel is not about me. I'm kind of more of a how-to girl. But I just thought I might share just some personal difficulties I've been having lately and how those difficulties in my homeschool overlapped and the strategies that I fell back on. Just because I feel like that might be kind of a how to set yourself up for getting through rough times. The goal of my channel is always to be helpful to you, not to use the channel as my personal diary. So I always am kind of hesitant to get too personal. I also thought I would answer just some questions that I've gotten recently, but I think that certain things I get asked more often, so I thought maybe I'll just address some of them on here while I am working on my notebook. Okay, let's hang out. First, if you didn't know what I was working on right now, I'm working on a companion notebook for the revised First McGuffey Reader, and I am trying to base it around the principles of the Eclectic Manual of Methods. And I read you the whole reading section, all about reading and how this set of McGuffeys was intended to be used in the classroom by the publisher at the time. So if you want more background on where I am drawing some of my inspiration for the companion notebook, I will link that playlist for you in the description box. Okay, here's a chat. So speaking of the Eclectic Manual of Methods, if you did listen to any of those videos, it was kind of just an audio one, you could have just listened to it. Or if you're going to go listen to it after this, I don't know, you may have noticed that my voice sounds tired and weak. And because I noticed it when I listened back to it, and I was putting as much energy into that reading as I could muster at that time. So, story time. I have just had debilitating migraines I don't know if they're really migraines, but debilitating headaches. I don't know I kind of feel like they call if you have headache issues, they just kind of call it all migraines. Stuff that over the counter doesn't touch it. And it's debilitating. I would say it really started middle school, I remember being really bad in high school, and I remember being excruciating in college. Excruciating. I don't know how much school I missed. I must have missed half my college education because I was down with migraines. And the only thing that has ever been effective for me is a preventative dose of an antidepressant. They give you a very low dose and you just take it every day. And but they always come with side effects. And so over the years, I'll go on for a while, I'll feel really good. I may be really happy, I'll be really productive, work-wise, or all types of stuff on one. But I feel like they put me on a different one all the time. Then you say you want to have a baby, you got to go off. Sometimes the side effects, I always end up going back to them because I get to a point where my life is nearly unlivable. I try my best, to keep going and push through it, but then you'll get feeling better. You'll get on the medicine, you get feeling better for a while, but then sometimes the side effects, you feel like I just can't live with this anymore. With these side effects. So that's kind of where I am right now, where I just weaned off of a medicine that I'd been on for about 1.5 years. And this is the worst. I never really experienced withdrawal before, but I'd never been on this medication before. I decided to wean off of this one for a while and try some different things, right? Sometimes I'm maybe I'm just checking back with my body. Something could be different with me now. Maybe I can adjust my diet. I will buy a book, an anti-inflammation diet cookbook. I have made my life as low stress as a homeschooling mother of 3's life can be. And I try to control the things I can control, right? Pray about the things I can't. I'm really sharing all this just because, I don't know, it might, somebody else out there might be living with the same kind of pain issues and have the same frustrations, and you're also trying to like raise your family and be a productive person. I just want you to know that you're not alone, and that I don't have it figured out either. We just keep going. But anyways, I went through, I would say, a good 8 weeks of really sick, being really sick, really poor health. One thing I just knew I wasn't worried about was homeschool. You'd think like, oh, like, can you just not be, it's not like I wasn't here, like I was home, but I was sick and miserable and like not at full capacity. But what I didn't worry about school is just that I had a system set up, and it was simple enough and independent enough that the kids needed me very minimally. So I could get up in the morning when I try to kind of get going and give them my best, like a good, 2 hours of me in the morning after like breakfast. And then I could go lay down. Like I would be so sick, like by lunch, like even like before lunch, I'd be so ill. I had to go lay down for like hours. And then sometimes I would feel a little bit better and, get up before, dinner and, make dinner, but I could like kind of check in like, oh, where are you in your notebooks? So I was going to say, it was my notebooking system that just kept the kids on autopilot. Like if they didn't finish every single page I would have liked them to do that day, I didn't stress about it. I was like, I just pick up where you left off tomorrow. It wasn't the most important thing that like every single little thing be done. But I did, but I would have enough time to check their work, give some feedback. My youngest, my kindergartner, I would give him in that morning time where I was more, that I had enough mental wherewithal to school him, because his schoolwork doesn't take very long. It's just so quick. I could wake up, do breakfast, sit down with the boys. We have like a morning time where we do like Bible and like a read aloud. I did ask, my oldest to sometimes read aloud for me, because sometimes all I could do was come in the schoolroom and sit in the chair with my eyes closed and just make sure that we were all here and fed and teeth brushed and like they are starting their day. But there's lots of people out there that are dealing with illnesses, injuries, and they're still homeschooling their kids. So I'm relying on the simplicity and the effectiveness of my curriculum and my container method, my notebook method, to carry them forward in my like darkest hours. I am feeling a lot better right now. I feel like the last week or so started getting my energy back, and try to catch up on housework, because when you're sick and you're just doing the bare minimum to get by, just like making the meals and like a load of dishes and a load of laundry every day, which usually did not get folded. There's like a mountain of laundry in my room. The amount of times where people say, there's no towels in the bathroom, I need a towel. I'm like, just go look on the floor in my room. There's probably a pile of them. Anyway, so I am feeling much better, more productive. So anyways, I'm kind of getting back into like my renewal season. Spring is always like when I feel like I kind of come back alive anyways. So anyways, all that kind of like personal blah, just to let you know that if health or injury or things like that are a concern for you in your homeschool and you're concerned about not being present, try to pick a curriculum or a system of implementing your curriculum that takes you out of the equation as much as possible. Like with our notebooks, like I do have to kind of like train them in the beginning. Like, this is how you're going to do these pages. This is what I expect from you. But once they're trained, they should be able to do their work at their own level, right? So you put in that effort. My husband always called it, we used to work together and stuff. We actually met at work, but he's kind of used to the way that I like work and operate. And he always says I'm a front loader. He's like, you always front load everything. Like any project, like I just do so much up front, and I set myself up. I'm concerned with things being like efficient, so that you do the bulk of your work up front in like at a shorter amount of time, but like a lot of concentrated, energy and focus. and then like coasting off of that energy for a long time. That's how I like to operate. And I think it's something that I've just adapted to my own. Like, I just don't know when I'm going to have a migraine, and like it might last, like they last like weeks. Like they won't stop. So I think that's kind of like where a lot of how I operate comes from. But yeah, it served me well. My front loading, all that developing notebooks and like training the kids how to use them. And also I would say setting up my schoolroom in a way that's comfortable and efficient and organized. And like, I'm very particular how I tell the kids even to like set up their desks. Like, I'm like looking around because I'm just thinking of things I want to show you. I'm going to do an updated room tour soon because I have like reorganized some things, and like you just keep getting more books for your homeschool library. So you keep having like, oh my gosh, at what point is it too much? And so anyways, I've been clearing some curriculum out and reorganizing. And anyway, so I'm very particular about how I even have the kids like put where's your things, where's your book, everything has to have a home. Like you get your notebook out, right? You just open to the first page, and I have them have like their to-do pile to their right, like their books literally in the order that they're going to be in their notebook. So all they have to do is like open their notebook, get that first book out, right? They have like a book stand they can put it on or like whatever, do their page, do their work, get checked off by me, close it. Or if I'm sick, I'll check it off at the end of the day to close it. Then they just go put their book back like on their shelf or on their basket where they're keeping their things or overnight home. And then they just grab the next thing. So their little pile gets lower and lower, right? As they finish until their last page, it's their last book, they close it, they put it away, they give it to me to check it. But they're moving things that are undone, things waiting to be done are on the right, and things that are done start getting moved off to the left. I don't know. Anyway, so just coming up with systems like that to keep people organized. I swear, my oldest though, I will like look over at them and I'll be like, boy, you're making me crazy. He will have his books, like multiple books, like he won't put it away. And this is my type A personality coming out. He will have like books out and he'll have his notebook open, like on top of it. So it's all like uneven. And I'm like, how can you even write like that? But like, so he'll like finish something, right? And he'll just grab the next book. Like he won't put that book away. And like, I don't know how he can work. He has like a pile of books. And he's like, I'm like, can you please stop? Can you please organize your space? Do you ever watch MasterChef? Remember Gordon Ramsay would like, we used to watch that a lot years ago. We used to like yell at the people to like how their workstation, of course he's like mean. He's like, this is disgusting. Like put your stuff, like he always said to keep their workstations clean. I had the same kind of idea about our workspace at our desks, right? Like you can make a mess while you're working, but then as soon as you're done, you clean that mess up before you start the new mess. Anyways, okay. Oh, so let me show you my new covers for the companion notebook. So, I always try to do like a boy and a girl. So here's my boy cover. Here's the label. Your little spots, like write your name at the bottom or like volume 1 or 2, whatever, right? And then this is what the girl cover. I want something that's like cheerful and like makes them feel drawn to it and good to work in. Okay, I have like some decisions to make on my notebook. Okay, feel free to leave me comments to help me out. So when I printed out the whole notebook, like everything, let me show you how thick it was. I'm like, oh, that's just, which is fine, but it's like, that's just, nobody wants to handle a book that big. So I realized, I was like, I think I'm gonna have to split this into 2 notebooks just for the sake of like handling it. So that's one thing I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have to, divide it. Also, some other things I will be doing is going through the pages, and I'm just gonna be double checking that I didn't make any errors on like which words or wordless or numbering or things like that in it. And I also need to make sure that I didn't make any mistakes on, because I pulled from the Eclectic Manual of Methods all of the little, like, I call them lesson focus. Like they give a lesson focus, things to point out in certain lessons. So I included those in the notebook. So make sure I haven't made a mistake and put those on the wrong lesson or something. And then I'm also going to make sure I'm going to cross-reference with my logic of English, like for the phonics components and stuff. I'm going to see if there's anything extra I can add in. I probably do modernize things here and there. Yeah, so I've got those cross-references down. And see, even like myself, so I have my pile. Like, what are you going to check first, right? Dun, dun, dun. And as I get done, I move it to the left to my done side. Okay, so somebody asked, here's our question. Hi, I want to talk to you about the McGuffies. That's my favorite thing to talk about. I've been watching your videos, want to make the switch. Good choice. Where to start? They're coming from Pinwheels 1 from Rooted in Language. It holds your hand step by step, scripted, plus extra teacher information, which I love. But it can be overwhelming, and there's a lot of moving parts. That speaks to me. I hear what you're saying. They're going to go ahead and finish it since they started it. He will have learned short vowel, basic consonant sounds, and some beginning teams, TH, SH, and a couple sight words. Maybe start learning with the 50 to 70 phonograms, with the made plain flashcards. Love those, alongside the ABC and all the tricks, yes. Then introduce the eclectic primer. So, where to start? I'm not sure exactly how old this child is. That's something that I would take into consideration, like, their development. Because I would say this child sounds like they may be able to start not on the primer, but on the first reader. The first reader, I'm looking at my first reader scope and sequence. So the first 10 lessons So the first 10 lessons or so of the primer, or of the first reader, are review. So it starts out super, super simple. Just that's all the first lesson is. This is something that I kind of change. Like, watch this in the notebook. See how they're saying the phonogram CH is ch, but they're pulling that from this word catch. But it's not really CH, it's TCH, which we only use after a short vowel. They need to learn to see TCH as one sound, so they don't say catch, right? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, sorry, sidebar. So I don't know. It depends on if they're like on the younger side. I don't know if this is like a kindergartner or like a first grader. I think you could start a first grader in the first reader, especially if they have background already in phonics. If they're like a second grader, I would definitely just start in here, just because you can always, I hate for them to be bored. I mean, it won't hurt them to start in the primer, right? Because they can go faster through it if you want them to. All of my complementary materials to the McGuffies. So I've got just straight copy work for the early ones, and I have a separate spelling program using the McGuffey spelling book. But these companion notebooks are going to be like an all-in-one, right? It's going to be like handwriting, right? So like copy work, reading, and spelling in their own way. So a lot of what you pick, if you're going to want to pick a copy, just a copybook, if you still want them to do that. So the big difference in the companion notebooks versus the like spelling levels, like the McGuffey spelling, that I take those word lists from the spelling book. Spelling is going to be taught. It's a little bit different. There's more activity, like little activities in the McGuffey spelling, as far as just day to day. They're doing something different that's just related to spelling and reading. The words that will be used in the companion notebooks are not from the spelling book. They're going to be the words that are provided, like the vocabulary words from the reader. You're going to work on their being able to read them, being able to spell them, and of course comprehend them, know what they mean. And the word lists are they're a little bit different. They're not all they don't all have a common spelling pattern in the companion notebooks, because they don't in the reader, right? So it just depends. Like, if you want to teach spelling more based on a shared, like either sound, like pronunciation of a certain vowel, or spelling pattern, I would go with the McGuffey spelling series, and just let that kind of run on its own course, right? and you could get like the copy work and just do the copy work with while you're doing the reading lessons. I do have a copy work complement resource, which is what I did with my youngest, which is what I used with my middle son as we were doing the copy work. And it's just, identifying grammar in the reading passage, and then, again in the copy work. And then I have like a couple little activities that you could take, like what different words that were different word classes, right? And put them into like making sentences or something, and categorizing them, making sentences with them and things like that. So you could pick up a notebook. If the primer, I have the companion notebook for the primer. I'm almost done working on, I'm hoping this week done with the first reader companion notebook. And you could my goal with the notebook was to have something that was like, it was everything that you needed to go along with the reader, all in one place, right? But you could also do, because this is what I did with my middle son, is the copy work, the grammar complement to go with it, and a separate spelling level. And I would go with spelling level 1, what it sounds like where he is. That would be my guess. I know the words they look so easy, but just because they can read them doesn't mean they can spell them. Like spelling is harder than reading, in my opinion. So I would say either just get a notebook that goes with it, or do the copy work, grammar complement, and spelling level 1. And I think you could do the primer or the first reader based on what I'm hearing. That's my blind take based on what I'm seeing. I don't go hard on copy work. I actually probably I wouldn't even really recommend much for grammar, except for the pointing it out in the primer. Certain things that you point out, like punctuation things. And I would use my grammar check-in bookmarks, and I'll link those for you, and which I always use anyways. I just keep them actually in like all of our books, like all the time, because I have the comprehension questions, especially even when I do read alouds, like I'll stop and ask questions. And also so you can have a comprehension check-in, right? Comprehension questions. This is where I start them on the blue one, and the grammar check-in. I always say start with less and build up if you feel like they can do more. So like the first thing I would do is to get the bookmarks, and then do the reading lessons. I'm sure you've seen my videos. You said you've been seeing the videos, and do the grammar check-in and do the copy work if you want to do the copy work. All that stuff will kind of be included in the notebook. So yeah, I'm meaning for the notebook to be more of an all-in-one, and there will be little notes too, but it should be easy enough. Like nobody wants to have to write a whole teacher guide. Have another, for the love of God, don't give me another notebook or something that I have to keep track of. I don't want to either. I just want everything to be open and go. So that's what I'm aiming for. If you guys are not familiar with the Language Arts bookmarks in my shop, I feel like it's probably the most popular thing that I have. I'll still show them to you. I haven't shown them in a while. They have a comprehension check-in questions, and then grammar check-in. This is my first level 1, and then you can level it up to the red eventually, right? Comprehension check-in. We're gonna ask things like, give a 1-sentence summary, answer the following: who, what, where, when, why, how. What point of view is this written in? First person, I, me, my. Second person, you, your. Third person, he, she, it, her, him, they. Is there a theme, a lesson, moral, message? Was there any figurative language used? We talk about similes, metaphors, personification, onomatopoeia. I can't say that. You guys, I cannot say that word. Onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia. Alliteration, hyperbole. Right? Pick a grammar check-in. Pick a sentence. Identify the subject and predicate. Anyways, that's level 2. I have a sentence editing bookmark in this pack. A paragraph writing and editing. I have a spelling, syllables, which is 2-sided. I need to glue those together. And a blank one to write in spelling patterns that you see as you go. a little phonemic awareness bookmark, a literary analysis bookmark. It's two-sided. Let's see, we're going up the levels, right? An editing marks bookmark, a close reading guide bookmark. Anyways, you can use these in all types of different books and for different reasons and at different levels. So I would get that. I hope that's helpful. I feel like, I know I always give too many options, but people have different styles, and I hope that answered your question. I hope that was helpful, not like too many options. I always just say start simple. You want them to be reading, comprehending, and you really, when they're early on, I'm really focused on handwriting, forming those letters properly and things like that. Somebody recently asked me how I am. I'm Robinson curriculum based, and I've designed a whole bridge notebooking system to take us from the very, very beginning, right? From like preschool, kindergarten, copybooks to the unofficial RC notebooks or the everything notebooks. Either one depends on which style you prefer, to the RC Pure method. I get this question from time to time about if you're RC based, how do you do science and history? Because they're required in a lot of places, like in my state, they're required from kindergarten all the way through grade 12. So when they made this curriculum, the family was based in, I think they still live in Oregon, and Oregon just doesn't have, it has, as far as I know, no requirements on curriculum. So it's they were able to make an optimum curriculum for their family. And I think it's great for every family. Actually, I think it's a great system. I love it. But because I have to abide by my state laws, and I'm actually not complaining because I feel like we've gotten a lot out of the extra, history and science resources I have pulled in. But I have addressed this a couple times, but it's been a while. I've made some videos, and I'll link the playlist. I have a history playlist and a science playlist, and I'm going to link those in the description box for anybody else that's curious. Sometimes I'm like, I've made so many videos at this point that, I don't want people to have to like sort through. I'll just share them. I'm always adding to them as I like try something new or, whatever. But I'll link those in the description box for you. But I would say that the easiest way for us to just make sure that the kids are getting history and science. I know some people are like, no, like what's in RC is totally enough, and it covers history and science all the way from the beginning and stuff. Then I'm not arguing with you, but I just felt like sometimes it wasn't enough, or it wasn't specific enough to that subject to really probably allay my fears of, I don't know, being audited or something, and then them being told that like my kids weren't getting, I don't know what the likelihood of that actually happening is, but I am a little rule follower. So I want to make sure I'm following the rules, but we actually have gotten a lot out of it. So I would say we have gone to morning time where everyone's kind of slow to get started in the morning anyways. We don't start school till 10 a.m. And that's still hard for my 13-year-old to get in here. But I've actually really liked instating morning time. This is not an RC thing, because RC is like, it's all about independent, because Mr. Robinson he was working, and he needed the kids to be working on their own, and he was working. So luckily, I don't have that same pressure on me that I have to be working. I can sit down with the kids in the morning. We do Bible together. We start out the day, and then we do either like some sort of like whatever. Sometimes we're just reading books, like a book for fun. I think I just recently talked about this, but they say kids, their reading comprehension doesn't catch up to their listening comprehension until like 8th grade. And just think, what if they're reading? What if you're one of those people like we started homeschooling after COVID, and our kids have like a 2-year delay in where they should be in school now because of all the stuff. And So what if it's not really 8th grade now? What if that's like 10th grade? Although I do think they can learn faster, so I don't really think the delay stays that long unless you hold them back and don't let them learn more and go faster, and like have them learn over the summer like we do. We homeschool year round so they can cover lost ground. Yeah, we will do like fun read alouds or whatever. I should do a video soon of what's in my morning basket. I don't know why I do that. I had to have somewhere to keep my books. I'm like, I don't make a big thing about it being my morning basket. It's just like, oh, I want to read this at some point, and I'll stick it in there in this basket that's by my chair. And I'm like, okay, what are we going to read next? Like, I don't really have a really set plan on like what I'm reading to the kids. Sometimes I'm like, give them a pick. Like, which ones out of these do you guys want to hear? Sometimes I'm like, okay, we're going to do history now. So I started doing it again recently. The Good and the Beautiful History. Partly just because we like it, and I know they discontinued it, so if you were going to buy it, you'd probably have to find it secondhand at this point. I don't know. I'm really curious why they discontinued it and why they're like, they haven't released their new one yet. It's interesting that they discontinued it before they had the new one ready, which makes me have thoughts. Yeah, I'm really curious to see what changes they make, because I bought all 4 years worth. I just bought all of it because I liked it, and I really like the games component to it. I like that something that the kids, we can all do together. And like I don't always, in the past I did have them do their notebooking activities that came with it, but recently I haven't, and we've just been playing the games more often after, and like reading and just having follow-up discussions. So I just kind of carry over that oral narration practice that we do like with the McGuffey readers, and say, okay, what did I just read to you? Like, tell me everything that you remember as much as you can, and then have some like follow-up questions or, corrections or whatever kind of discussion time. I have one child that is a little, I don't know, I hate to say he has ADD. I'm like not even sure. But he does seem to have a harder time recalling and like remembering stuff. So I found that I just feel a bit better. I made a little fill in an oral report form on a famous person. And I've just found that's really easy to hand to him and ask him if he can't recall or can't remember stuff, like to just assign him a short oral report to do, like maybe by the end of the week. But a lot of times he gets it done like that day. He actually likes doing them because history is actually his like favorite subject. So he doesn't mind. He just gets out the encyclopedia and, he just looks up the stuff. Anywho, I think I put that in the shop recently too. Whenever I make something, I always put it in the shop. Like, I'm constantly making things like as needs come up in our own school. But I just like printed out a stack of those and just stuck them in the back of our textbook, our Good and the Beautiful History textbook. And so I can dole those out as needed. I should show you one because it's cute. Hold on. Okay, here's one. I just stapled it into his notebook, but he just did a quick one on William Bradford. And, I think it's part of that, what they have to dig for themselves and search for themselves, they hold on to it a little bit better. So part of the reason why I just go ahead and read, I think the good, what's it called? Another good one is Story of the World. We actually started out with Story of the World, and I remember the very first book, I liked like the first lesson because it was like more in a story form. And then to me, it got really boring. I was like, I don't want to read this. I was bored. And I did not like the activities that came with it. Like I thought the drawings, they were not, like the coloring sheets, I just thought they were not attractive. And I guess looking back, I would have I could just say, just have them draw their own pictures. A lot of times I see curriculum and stuff, and like even like books and things, and I just think they're doing too much for the kids. Like, what's left for them to do? What's left for them to draw and color and create and come up with their own, composition, like their own notes. Like sometimes I feel like they just give kids actually the end product, what the kids should actually be producing. And so I guess that's why I like notebooking. I like the kids to draw and to color and to design, and I like them to do that, to see what comes from them. I wasn't, yeah. So I guess I could say if you were like me and you didn't like those coloring pages and those activities and stuff, you could just give them a notebook and just have them notebook afterwards, just give them a blank piece of paper. So yeah, we've been reading that lately, and then it's really enjoyable. There's little audio components to it. Like sometimes you get to listen to something, and yeah, we all enjoy it. And I know that they are definitely getting like history in their reading list, the RC reading list. But, early on, there's not so much history or like social studies in the reading list. And the kids' reading comprehension is not very good when they're young anyways. So I know like, the more we're exposed to information, it takes multiple times before you like, I think I heard one time it takes like 8 times of like being exposed to a piece of information before you like really remember it. I can't remember where I heard that. It sounded right. I was like, yeah, I'll probably have to like read the Bible through 8 times before I have it like really committed to, a good portion to memory, That's my goal. I'm working on reading it through 8 times. Okay, at least. I want to be reading it my whole life. But you know what I mean? Like I have that 8 number goal in my mind, something to work towards. Okay, so anyways, I like that it gives this constant exposure, to that information, and then they'll also be getting it in their RC books too. And then, they say a big part of reading comprehension is background knowledge. So this is going, just having them do these little lessons with us, like even though they may not be able to perfectly recall it, I mean, the more times we go over it, I feel like every sweep through, you pick up more, So that's kind of my thinking on that. I think you could read anything you want to for history. It doesn't have to be like a real curriculum. You could just get some sort of history book that you enjoy and read that to them. And I love all the conversations that come out of reading that stuff. And the kids really like the books that come with like the reading component books, like they said the textbook with the Good and the Beautiful, and then they have little readers that you're supposed to read to your kids. And they're not very, so far anyway, they're very modern in their like syntax. So they're not on the level of the RC books, but there is, you can see that they're purposefully putting in their, vocabulary. Right now we're reading one called The Mooring Tree, and it's this boy who goes to Jamestown. Yeah, I just love how all the conversations that come out from that. And the lessons are not too long, right? And you can you don't have to do a whole lesson in one go if you don't want to. And you could have your kids like notebook afterwards if you want to. They do have their own like printable like notebooks, materials you can use, or you can just have them write a narration afterward or something, or draw a picture. Depends on how, I think because I'm like, my main focus is RC, I tend to think of the history and science stuff in the early years as just kind of a plus, it's just kind of an extra cherry on top of the school day, and not something I like stress about them doing a heavy workload on, because the early years I'm more skills. I want them mastering skills that they'll need to be more hardcore with their academics down the road if they want. Oh yeah, and for another this is something else I've talked about in previous videos, is just find appropriate reading level books for history and science, and you can just insert them into your RC list. If you're like, I just want to make sure that they covered, then maybe you think, 4 little readers, history readers, and 4 little science readers, whatever you deem that to be. Stick that in there, make sure that it goes into their book list for the year. And they don't have to be like super long or anything. They just have to cover, sciencey stuff or history stuff. I'll let you watch the videos about where I go more into what resources we've picked. So even with my kindergartner, I'm doing science right now, and I'm just going through some kind of like nature type study books. And it's one of our notebooking pages every day. We just read, a page or so, and maybe we look up something on the internet. Sometimes I print off pictures for him to put in his notebook, or he draws, or he traces or something. So I've been talking about number stories that we've been using those we used them book 1 for preschool for my youngest, and we're working through book 2. and we're in kindergarten. We're going to go over the summer. There is a book 3, and I own that. And let me show it to you guys really quick because it's kind of hard to find. Here's the one I have. I think this is the earlier versions, and the other ones, I think they have like teddy bears on them or something. All right, so Number Stories book 3 is the 3rd grade unit of the primary arithmetic group in the Curriculum Foundation series. This book aims, 1, to develop essential 3rd grade number facts and concepts in a carefully organized series of interesting stories and exercises. 2, to give specific training in interpreting the language of arithmetic. And 3, to build a reading familiarity with the necessary terminology, symbols, and forms. This book meets 2 requisites of an arithmetic text designed for use by 3rd grade pupils. Subject matter difficulties are not complicated by unnecessary reading difficulties. Yeah, I did like they're really careful because there's a lot of reading to it. It's a really neat format. I wish they just like they had it. It's probably the perfect place to stop. But so it's going to be at a 3rd grade reading level, or what they considered a 3rd grade reading level back in 1934 when this was printed. It was originally, this is a revision, it was originally copyrighted in 1926. It's going to go over 16 basic multiplication facts with both factors greater than 5 and the corresponding basic division facts. Okay, so they're going to get into like division stuff in here. So people ask me about these versus like the Ray's Arithmetic. So what my impression, so Ray's Arithmetic is just totally different, right? It is not a reading format like this, right? There's not stories to read through. There's not, just very different. This, what I found was these had a lot more practice to them, whereas at least we did the Ray's New, primary arithmetic. We did the first one with William, and there just wasn't enough. Like I had to add other materials. Like I printed out the Olney's workbook, and I made some of my own math fact worksheets, and I combined them all to do with the Ray's worksheets. Even though I bought, I feel like the Ray's, and as I read the Eclectic Manual of Methods, they'll go over the Ray's Arithmetic and how they were intended to be used. I think I'm going to learn a lot there. I think it's probably going to be similar like it is the McGuffey's. The McGuffey's, it gives you a lesson, but that's not like one day's work. That's supposed to extrapolate out all of these activities that the teacher was, like you stay on that lesson for, more than a day or whatever, right? So I think that's going to be the case as well with Ray's, is that you're going to have to extrapolate out more activities or more practice. They're probably doing things on slates and things like that. So that wasn't what I was used to. I was used to something that if it wanted repeated practice of this, math skill, that it would have multiple pages for it. So this does more so I felt like these had enough practice in them by themselves, and I haven't had to add anything to it for my kindergartner. That also could be that I'm just going so slow because he's younger, His math ability is actually ahead of his reading ability, which is weird because I was not the top math student. He must get that from his dad. So my plan is, and I'm still not totally sure, I'm just going to see at the end of book 2 where we are. So it is hard to find book 3. I had to stalk the internet for months before I found one that came on the market. And I have not seen a PDF version of one online anywhere to print like you can book 1 and 2. So at some point, whether it's the end of book 2 or the end of book 3, you're going to have to transition over into something else anyways. So I don't know. I just don't really worry about it. I think just get as much out of those books as you can. I love them. I love them so much. I'm so happy I found them. But you're just going to take a placement test for whatever they're doing next, whatever curriculum you want them to do. I have the Right Start curriculum math stuff. That was something I really felt like my oldest was missing, just number sense from being in public school. And so when I got him home, and he was just struggling with math, and I felt like it was a number sense issue. And so when I looked around, I ended up going with Right Start Math because it was recommended to me by a math teaching expert. And I think it has been really helpful for him. And so I already have a curriculum, so I'm probably just there's a test on the website, I believe, and it's not something that they take, it's something you actually just answer. I might ask, do you know what this is? But it was more like asking you certain concepts, they didn't have to solve anything. But if you're like, yeah, they can do that, or no, they can't, like it will recommend to you what level they go into. And Right Start is, I'm not worried about switching from this to Right Start at all, because Right Start is so fun. I feel like it's so fun for the kids. And the lessons are pretty short, and there's games, and it is more teacher intensive, but it was something that I was willing to be more involved in because it was a real need. But I am trying to be careful about not being super involved in like every single subject for every single kid, right? Some things have to be simpler, and that can ebb and flow depending on, once they kind of get a grip on, math or something, maybe then you go a little bit more in depth, or you're a little more involved in their writing, or something like that. But yeah, if you're worried about making that switch, I don't know. I'm looking at the exact same decision, and I'm just not worried about it. But maybe it's because I feel comfortable with Right Start, and I feel comfortable with Member Stories, and I just don't think he's going to miss out on anything. And I just don't know. I don't know. I just don't foresee an issue with switching the curriculums. They're not going to be so. This is just so natural, I guess, because it's story based, it's reading based. Like I just feel like this is such a good bridge for kids that are used to stories being read to them and just like reading stories all the time. To I think it's harsh is like, oh, here's this worksheet, and it's just all abstract stuff, just a hard switch from just learning how to read to like a textbook that's just really solve these. When you have this, you have this. Like this is just so, I just feel like this is so gentle. It's such a nice gentle transition into math for a beginner. So I don't know. I think I really want to do it. I think I am just going to go, just talking about it, I've convinced myself. Just hearing myself talk, I'm like, yes, we're going to go all the way through book 3 and then just test and place into Right Start. The other thing I'm thinking, I did it for part of, I'm like looking at my notebook. So the notebook, so the copywork looks like this for this level. But I was messing around. I was like, I think I want to start like, this is so long. Like, the McGuffey readers, they can be multiple like grades worth of time, for those readers, depending on how long you stay on each lesson. So by the end of it, I was like, what if I like size it down as they go? Because how you want their handwriting to get a little smaller and stuff. I'm thinking I should start that earlier. I'm thinking I should pick a middle point, split this in half. Have the first half of the notebook be a certain size, and then this whole second half, I was just gonna go back and add more of that smaller font and writing space or writing lines. I really want them. I have, I think I have copywork for the third reader that also, it's gone down to the smallest size, but it's still handwriting lines. I think for the notebooks, the companion notebooks, I really like them by the third reader, because like William is in the third reader right now. He's 8. I almost said 9. I'm thinking he's going to be in 4th grade, but he's 8 and he's in the third reader, and he does not need the handwriting lines. So I think I'd like my notebook to not have the handwriting lines for the third companion notebook when I work on that one. But I don't want to like have them jump from like my medium font, like my medium handwriting size, to all the way to being expected to write on lines. So I think I'll go first half the medium, second half my smallest lines. My biggest lines were in the first notebook. Does that make sense what I'm saying? I want to help them stair step. So I think that'll be good, like half and half point. If you guys have any questions for me, or if you like the prep and chat videos and you want to get your question answered, leave me, just come back to this video and leave any comments, like any questions that you have, or send me questions over on my Instagram. Just send me a message, and I will be happy to answer them. And I always feel like I can answer a little more fully in the video, because I can like grab stuff and like show it to you and stuff. So I will talk to you soon, and I can't wait to show you how the notebook turns out. Okay, bye.